Hi everyone, welcome to Grow Roots. This is Shannon and this is my June 2025 front garden tour. Hi everyone, welcome to my front yard. If you are new and have never joined me before, thank you so much for joining Grow Roots today, and I am so happy to show you my front yard in June this year. I am just so pleased about how it has turned out, and I can't wait to show y'all. This is probably the peak of the garden, just like my backyard garden tour. If you missed that, I will pop a link on the top right corner so you can check out my backyard garden tour for June. But this is definitely, I think, the peak of what we're gonna see for this front yard. I hope the lighting is okay. I'm actually trying something new. It is dusk. And so usually I film them in the mornings, but it's difficult with this front yard because it gets sun pretty early in the morning. And so anyway, I'm trying it out at dusk time, and I think the colors are actually extremely vibrant. So I'm gonna start right here. Let me give you a little shot. This is like, you know, I have your average, at least for North Texas, suburban home. And, you know, small spaces, but I feel like I've packed a lot of punch into my small spaces. And here's one of them. So here's that little square planter that so many of the builders build on these houses. And I have a 3-tier topiary. It is a Carolina Sapphire Cypress, and I am absolutely loving it. It is still in its first year there, growing it in a pot to kind of manage its shape, and it's doing really, really well. I've got a lot of new growth. I just went and pruned this just really 2 weeks ago, and now it's already more growth. So lots of growth this summer, so I can keep that topiary shape. And then down here I have some variegated liriope down here, and then I've popped some annuals down there as well that are just really stealing the show right now. So these are zinnias. I think this one was a Chippendale Daisy zinnia, and I have another Chippendale Daisy zinnia here, and they're doing really, really well. This one's a little bit on the floppy side, but it looks really beautiful there. And then I have an ageratum that I grew from seed. All of these grown from seed, these annuals are, but this is Ageratum Lita from Baker's Creek Heirloom Seeds, and this particular one is doing amazing. I think it really likes this spot there. It's almost full sun, but almost in between a part sun, full sun location, and that Ageratum Lita really does prefer, I think, a part sun location. In other locations that are full sun, it has burnt a little bit. And then this one is, gosh, I don't know if it's a pinwheel zinnia or if it's a Zahara zinnia. I'm going to show you in a moment. I did a huge planting of some dwarf zinnias this year. I have a lot of different varieties that I've tried, and so I had a leftover one that I popped in here, and like I said, I think this might be a pinwheel, but anyway, it's a nice dwarf variety and it's looking beautiful. There's another ageratum there. I just realized, oh yeah, there's another ageratum that I popped there. They're just extra ones that I had. It's getting ready to leaf out as well. I just also wanted to point out we have some new garden decor. My daughter and I have been doing a lot of painting because she's, you know, on summer break, and this is one thing that she made. It's Grow Roots. It's the name of my channel, and that beautiful tree, oh, I just absolutely love it. But my daughter Maya made that, and I'm just so thankful. I think it's so cute, and I'm proud to display that. And then growing up on this espalier kind of trellis, I have Confederate Star Jasmine, which is completely covered up right now by Black-Eyed Susan vine. The Black-Eyed Susan vine was actually planted last year, and it has reseeded itself. I did not plant it this year, but a ton of them popped up because it was just full of flowers by last October, November, and it dropped its seeds like crazy. So I knew I was going to get a ton of them, and I have pulled a ton of them out. But I wanted to show you as well, the Confederate Star Jasmine did bloom. The vine survived just like in my backyard, and so we had lots of blooms on that Confederate Star Jasmine. But the Black-Eyed Susan vine's looking pretty good. And then coming over to the big part of the front garden, I do have some containers, but I will mainly talk about those containers on my container garden tour. I have so many containers this year. I have approximately 40 of them ish. And so I do a separate container garden tour, and that's going to come out fairly soon. So stay tuned for that. But I will talk about this front garden. Oh my goodness. Ah, this is amazing. I just love it so much, y'all. Where do I even begin? So I do have a container inside of this garden, so I will talk about that one. And this is holding a Limelight Standard hydrangea. And this Limelight, I trained it myself into a tree form. And it's about 4 years old, I think. And this is the year that it's finally taking on the shape that I was going for. It does take a long time to train them to be like this. So when you see them for pretty high prices in the nurseries, that is why, y'all, because it does take a long time to train them to be this way. And even mine is not perfect. I'm training a new one in the backyard that I think I'm doing things a lot better with. This time I learned a lot of things, and so, but this is just spectacular. The Limelight is in bloom, and I let a lot of them bloom. So I have all of the panicles that are there that just kind of anchors this side of the garden. If I give you a deeper view of the garden, I have a Vitex tree over there, and that's kind of why I put the Limelight Standard on this side, just to kind of balance that out just a little bit. And I have like anchors on both sides. To me, it makes sense. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but it does to me. And so coming back over, I have a cute little garden goose. We call her Silly Goose. And then let's start back here let's start right back here. So I have a hedge of sunshine ligustrum that kind of is right there as the foundation planting. I love this shrub. It does get a little bit out of hand this time of year, and it needs a lot of pruning to be kept in this shape. And so you could see my husband actually did this for me last weekend. I'm so thankful he did it because it's a big job. Anyway, it is freshly pruned, and so you can see some areas of bare spots and a little bit of dead because it is hot. And so pruning it really heavily like this does mean that some of these end pieces there will get a little bit crispy in the heat, and that's okay. I am battling a pretty big issue with my sunshine ligustrum right now. Typically, this is 4 years old, and I have not really seen any pests bothering this plant at all until the end of last year, and now this year it's a big problem. And I have whitefly really, really, really bad. And I should have taken care of it last year at the end of the season when I noticed it, but I did not. I take typically a hands-off approach on pest control unless it's really like becoming an issue. Now it's really becoming an issue, and I had some sparkling amethyst superbena down here that survived. It overwintered. It was amazing, and oh my goodness, it was the first thing to bloom for me this spring. Unbelievable plant. And then it just completely died pretty much. It's taken over by the whitefly. And the Maynite salvia right here, I'm going to show you in just a moment. You can see there's damage to that as well. But what I did is I cut down the superbena pretty heavily. We'll see if it bounces back. It's not completely dead yet. And then I picked up some scaevola at one of the local nurseries, and so it was on sale too. So I got a deep blue scaevola, and then this one, I forget the name of it, but it was a really cute little name on this, and hopefully they'll do okay. But anyway, that's what's planted there. Again, I have Maynite salvia here. It's in its second or third bloom right now, so it's doing good. But here's a look at that damage from the whitefly. So I forgot to tell you, what I'm doing is really trying to hit it hard with insecticidal soap. I hit it a couple different times, like in the morning and in the evening a couple nights ago, and I've seen a significant decrease. And so I'm going to come back in maybe 4 days later, once eggs have hatched perhaps, and then I'm going to spray it really hard again. Hopefully the sunshine ligustrum will be able to withstand that, but that's what I'm going to try to do. And you know, hope that these plants don't get too heavily infested with it. So hopefully I'll be able to at least manage it. But so far, I mean, the Maynite salvia is still blooming and it's still doing okay. So it's not completely taken. And then the underplanting of my limelight hydrangea. Oh, this is one of my favorite container combinations. And I'll say that so many times. It is though. I chose a blue scaevola and a pink vinca. And then I had a lighter pink vinca here, but it didn't make it. I have dichondra right here, which it's rooting, which I wanted it to do. It's starting to root down there, and if it can root down there and kind of become a ground cover in this bed, I'll be happy. And then, you know, I have pink and white vinca and scaevola all throughout, and it's just unbelievable. It's a really great combination, and it's a really great heat loving combination. It will get us through the summer. Yeah, so really love that combination. And then coming to my border this year. So I always save the front part, at least from here. Well, I save the front part from about here all the way over. This front border is always going to be planted up with annuals. And so this year, I really wanted to try some really super dwarf varieties of zinnia. I've tried, oh my goodness, what was it called? Thumbelina zinnias a couple of years ago, and they ended up being 3.5 feet tall. That's not my vision. My vision is this. It's come to life. So this is a mixture of, let's see, I have Profusion double hot cherry in here. I'll show you in a second which one that is. I have pinwheel zinnias and I have Zahara mix zinnias. I think those are the only varieties that I did. But they're all pretty much performing equally here. This one is the double hot cherry, the Profusion double hot cherry. This was the expensive seed, as opposed to the pinwheel mixes that you see here was just from Target. I think they were like maybe $3 a seed packet, if that, and they were just so like generous in germination rate, and it's just unbelievable. So I'm so happy with this border this year. And I will tell you, I do have a little bit of a secret. Last year, I noticed that my annuals, both my winter and my summer annuals, in a couple different spots, they just died no matter what I put there. And I don't know if it's a mold problem. I don't know if I noticed there were some roots that were trying to go alongside of this stone from the Vitex tree. I don't know if that was the problem, but there's several spots right up here in this front border that everything was dying last year. So what I did this year to try and prevent it, and so far I'm 100% successful, is these zinnias are planted in terracotta pots. This is a secret, and it is absolutely worth mentioning and worth trying. If you guys have some problem areas, these are all planted. You can't even tell anymore. You see this terracotta pot? They're 6-inch terracotta pots that I grew the seedlings in, and then I just popped them in the soil. And it's no problem for watering because the terracotta material will soak up the moisture from the soil very easily, and so they're watered without any problems at all. This is on drip irrigation, by the way, but the drip irrigation is not directly to the pots, it's to the soil behind it. And so all of the moisture from the soil is taken up by the terracotta pot and delivered to the plant that is inside of it. And it's just working beautifully so far this year. So there's your tip. But I'm so proud of it. But let's go back over here. Right under here, I have more Maynite salvia. It's kind of planted all around this container. And then here is Sweet William that's still blooming. I cannot believe that. We are in like summer, folks, and I have Sweet William that's typically a spring blooming plant that is still blooming for me. And then these beauties right here, this is Rudbeckia, grown from seed. Wow, check out that spider. Holy moly, mister. Take care of my pest problem, okay? Can you kill the white flies too? But anyway, the Rudbeckia is actually planted back there, but it's kind of reaching forward for the sunlight, I'm sure, and it's mixing in with these zinnias really beautifully as well. And then I also have a daylily planted. This is probably the last of this daylily's blooms. They are spring bloomers, early summer bloomers, and so it's about to go away, but I have actually a little bit left. I am surprised. Okay, that's awesome. But you can see the bloom stalks that I've had. I've had a ton of daylily blooms this year. This is its I think 4th year in the ground, 3rd or 4th year, so it's really this variety that I have is doing really well all throughout my gardens. Let's see, back there I have a white gomphrena and a white zinnia, and back over there struggling to survive is a new echinacea. It was planted about a month ago, and so it's alive. The leaves are still really green. I need to go over and deadhead it, but it's just trying to establish itself back there. I think it's called Mandarin something. It's a red variety and it's absolutely beautiful. And then I have another daylily back there. That is a red variety and it blooms later, and so that will continue blooming for a little while, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And then coming over here to my bird bath, I have, it's all overtaking it, I have some lemon ball sedum planted over here. And again, I've kind of had to try to train the Rudbeckia away from that because a week ago it was completely covering this area. So I had to lift that up. My lemon ball sedum experience has been that they don't like to be covered up. They don't like to compete. And so I don't want them to feel like they're competing. I need to move them and give them their space, or move the plants that are trying to overtake them and give the lemon ball its space. And moving on next to it, again, I have some more Rudbeckia, and then I have a pink gomphrena globosa back there, and then another one of those red, I think they're called Mandarin something, echinacea. Again, not doing amazing, but it's trying to establish itself and it's still alive. So that's a win in my book. Just keep it alive, Shannon, keep it alive. And then next to the zinnias. So let me talk about one thing real quick. In many gardens, and I think most gardens, we have little things called microclimates. So I've noticed, and I didn't know this going into like starting these gardening beds, but I've learned it throughout the years, that from here on is full sun, absolutely full sun. This faces south, but from here onward this way is part shade, and most of the reason for that is because of my vitex tree. Last year was even more profound because I had a huge limb of the vitex tree going this way, and all of this was pretty much shade all the time. Well, I needed more sun, at least part sun, over here, and so I eliminated the branch that was going over there. And the vitex tree is still fine, but it's not super happy about that. It's not as full this year as it was last year. And I'm also noticing I'm getting a lot more sun than I thought I was going to. Here, this is almost full sun right here. But we live and we learn. All of that to say that there is a microclimate going on. And so all of this over here is definitely shaded by the vitex tree. And that is why you see the hydrangea as beautiful as it is. And I'll show you everything over there. But here I have to do different annuals starting here. So I have a begonia. It's just your regular wax leaf begonia, and it's doing pretty good. And then let's see, I have Dusty Miller dotted all throughout, and these yellow blooms are actually Dusty Miller blooms, which I kind of like. Let's not pass over this. I have balloon flower right here. Almost forgot about that. And wow, I didn't even notice this. The gomphrena that is planted behind the Rudbeckia is poking through the Rudbeckia and mixing with the balloon flower, and that's a beautiful combination, y'all. Look at that, gomphrena and balloon flower. Who would have known? But those are beautiful. Love that balloon flower. And then I have a dianthus here that's trying to peek through. And then you're going to see a ton of this from here on. And it is a ground cover, and it is called Variegated Vinca Major. It has really pretty purple blooms, kind of this color in the springtime. And then it's just kind of taking over over here. So much so, and I'll just warn y'all, it's an aggressive ground cover for sure. but that's kind of what ground covers do, but it goes fast. So I don't want this overtaking any of this bed. I just want it in this shady area, and so I'm having to take it where it's rooting and pulling it up, and then I'm actually just potting them up or putting them in other areas in my backyard for ground cover. But yeah, I'm not allowing that to grow like completely into this bed because it will overtake everything there, and I don't want that. So here I have another Azuratum Leda doing really, really, really well. Look at that one. It's really quite a beautiful plant. This is the first time I've grown Azuratum, and so I'm really pleased with it. It's definitely taking off and doing well. I have more Dusty Miller. I have a cute little lamb. We call him Lambo, and he is now getting kind of covered with that ground cover, which I kind of like. I really like that, actually. Okay, and then I've got a little more Dusty Miller and a different ground cover. Let's see how it's doing under that. Yeah, it's doing pretty well under there. This is Burgundy Glow Ajuga. And so, yeah, gosh, look at this. It's just taking over. And I have a Magma Coral Bells here, doing beautiful. I have another Burgundy Glow Ajuga patch right there. And then there is my hydrangea. This is an endless summer hydrangea macrophylla. I hope the lighting is okay because it is getting darker here under the shade. But gosh, just look. Some of the blooms are aging. As you can see, this one is for sure. I typically leave my blooms on the plant the entire growing season, and unless they fry. And I have seen a couple that have fried. For instance, right here, this one I will prune back, but that I will keep. And one thing that you will see, it's already starting to happen actually, as they age, after the green comes a really nice pink color. And then as we get into the fall, November and December, they turn a dark magenta color, and it is absolutely beautiful. So obviously that's not going to happen with this one, so that's why this one's going to be pruned off. But all of these other ones, if they survive the season and don't get fried, then they will be absolutely beautiful come fall and winter, and that's what I love. So I definitely keep these on, and this plant alone has about 60 blooms all around it. It's just absolutely beautiful this year, and this is why they call it endless summer. I'm still getting blooms. It's unbelievable. I just can't believe it, but it's just one of my favorite plants for sure. If you're curious on how I take care of my hydrangea macrophyllas in hot Texas weather, I do have a video on that with lots and lots of tips on how to take care of them and how to get them through this heat. I'll pop the link in the upper right corner so you guys can check that out. But just, oh, absolutely beautiful. I love the way this garden is looking this year. It might be my favorite out of all of the summers. I don't know, but I think it is. It really is. It's just spectacular. One thing I did want to show you, because it is kind of part of my front garden. First of all, the grass is unbelievable. I do not take credit for the grass, y'all. My husband does it. He takes care of it, and he does really, 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 he really takes care of it beautifully. He's like clockwork, you know, I've got to do this to the grass, and I've got to do this to the grass, and now it's time for this, now it's time for that. And so that's why you see it looking like it looks, because he really has put in so much effort. It is Palisade Zoysia, and it just does absolutely beautiful. And then I'd also want to show you my front curb containers. So I have two curbside containers, and they're planted almost exactly the same, and it's planted up with a patriotic kind of theme a little bit this year, and it's beautiful. So this is Mystic Spires Blue Salvia, and Mystic Spires Blue Salvia is probably one of my favorite Texas tough plants ever. Period. This has been in here for over a year now, and it's done absolutely beautifully. It did survive the winter here in zone 8A. on the border of 8B as well, and so it's just done spectacular. And then I have interplanted it with white and a really dark pink, almost red vinca, so kind of gives it that patriotic look coming into the 4th of July, and it's doing really beautifully. And then this one is much the same. Oh, there's a bee still on here. It's like it's during dusk, which is unbelievable. But the one difference that you'll see here is that Superbena Sparkling Amethyst is poking through on this one. And that's because this one has a Superbena Sparkling Amethyst. I tried to get some rooted cuttings from this and put it over there, but they're not 100% successful yet. So this one has the Superbena poking through and the other one just doesn't. It just is kind of like, oh, it's really hot. I don't know if I'm gonna, survive, but it's looking absolutely beautiful. The mist expires. One of the things that I love about it is that, you can deadhead it or you can leave it. The spikes just keep growing bigger. Like, it'll keep blooming at the tip of the spike and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. If you don't like that, you can prune these off, and there's always more growing. So I have new buds kind of starting everywhere on this guy. So it's completely up to you. You can deadhead them or you can leave them, and they look beautiful either way. And so Mist Expires is just an absolute rock star of a plant. And so there's a couple more areas that I didn't really show you. One of them is this little side yard area, and it's nothing like spectacular, but I do have a row of boxwoods there. I believe they are winter gems, and they're doing really, really good. Then the other thing, it is a container, but it is like a staple of my front garden, so I can't do a front garden tour without showing you my huge Big Daddy hydrangea. Another endless summer hydrangea. This guy again was full of 50 to 60 blooms. They are all in the green phase right now, which is totally cool. I have grown to love the green hydrangea look, but we've got some newer ones as well, and it's looking beautiful. It's just, this guy is wait, hang on. I got this plant in 2011. So yes, it's 14 years old this year, and it's just doing amazing. It's been in this huge pot for all that time. And I mean, I have layers after layers of blooms, y'all. Like, I can't see those blue layers? Those were some of the first blooms, and then I have a new bloom, and it's just, it's just doing so great. I love this plant, and this is something that people see as they walk up to my house, and so it is a staple. I have to show you, but you will see this again in my container garden tour. And then I don't want to ignore the plant that's right next to it. This is a variegated lace cap hydrangea, and it bloomed for me for the very first time this year. It is 5 years old, but I pruned all of those blooms off because it got a little bit toasty. It didn't get watered enough when we were on vacation, and so those blooms kind of fried. The leaves didn't fry, but the blooms fried, and I think I left one on. Let me see. Well, here's a little bit. See that? Isn't that cool? I wish the blooms hadn't have gotten fried. Look at that. That's even kind of a variegated bloom. I never noticed that before. That's insane. How beautiful is that? But see, here's what this would have been pink, but now it's crispy. Oh, here's one. Oh, here's one that didn't get fried. Okay, that's really awesome. So I'll leave that one on, so we have at least one example, and that one's completely green now. Okay, cool deal. At least I have one that I don't have to, I deadheaded all the rest of them because they were just absolutely crispy. But all these containers, I will go ahead and show you on my container garden tour. Just wanted to show you all the front yard and how great it's looking. All right, so I am losing my light, but I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for joining me on my front garden tour for June of 2025. Like I said, I am just so incredibly pleased with how the garden looks right now. This is definitely the peak because we are getting into next week. I think we're starting to hit some 100-degree temperatures, and it will stay that way probably until September. So July and August are going to be a little rough, but thank you for joining me. If you like what you saw, please hit that subscribe button. It helps my channel so much, and also comment down below. That helps me as well. I'd love to hear from any one of you, any questions or comments or thoughts that you have. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye, everybody.